from my end is I started with the company in April of 1996 and had some experience selling mattresses, worked in furniture stores. My uncle had a furniture store for a long time and kind of a family business thing. So I did work for Rhodes Furniture for a short time, but most of it was smaller mom and pop type stuff. And so I went through the interview, got the job, was very excited about it. And my girlfriend, who's now my wife, but she loaned me some money to buy some nice ties because I had to wear a tie to work. I remember that. But the Friday before I was going to start, I got a call to go to a Sunday night sales meeting, which I was kind of nervous about, but it was cool to meet everybody. And I didn't know, but they said Phil Lang was going to be there, and I didn't know who that was. And David Wachendorfer was the general manager. I think Dave Brummett knows him pretty well. But so I go to this meeting, and when the meeting starts, this guy, Phil Lang, he just kind of gets up, and before it starts, he's just yelling and screaming, and the suit coat comes off, and he's got like sweat covering his body, and he's going through this graphic thing about the TO system, and you're not doing it right. We've been in this market for 8 months, and just going crazy, you know. And I, being in the our family in the business mattress shop, was kicking everybody's ass in St. Louis, and I'm like, it can't be that bad. And everybody loved the meeting, so it was pretty amazing, and I loved it. I mean, I was hooked when I saw him screaming and going nuts, and everybody loved it, and just went through that. And so I had a good experience there, and I had no problem selling. I needed to learn how to hold the line a little bit because I tended to give things away, but I got paired with some good people. But an interesting thing that happened, and I think it was maybe the latter part of 96 or early 97 that Mattress Firm opened with their franchise in St. Louis. And it was ironic that in the last 2 months I really learned about something because I had this experience. We were getting ready for a sale, and a young couple walks in, and they're looking at beds, and 5 minutes later another one and another one, and I'm in my Northwest Plaza store, and I don't get 3 couples in on Tuesday night, and they're giggling and laughing and having fun, and I have no idea what's going on, but I start thinking, these people aren't shopping, and I learned what Shark Week was a couple of months ago in St. Louis in a visit, so I'm like, wow, they're already killing me with this. So that was a pretty interesting experience, and the stores popped up all over, so there was a lot of competition back and forth with that, so I managed a few different stores, and became a trainer. What was interesting, in March of 99, I got kind of technically promoted leading December before that, but there were some delays, and we purchased a chain of 50 stores in Philadelphia called Nationwide Discount Sleep Center, and I got promoted to be a district manager. It was very exciting, and so we fly up to Philadelphia, and there's a couple people from South Florida, and I got different opinions than Javi about some of that. I thought our part of the country was the better part of the company. But anyway. You were confused. So our learning and development wasn't quite what it is here at this time, so you're going to learn on the job up there. But I remember we had this big Wednesday night meeting and told everybody what we're going to do, and everybody was kind of looking at us like, okay, and they had TVs in their store, nobody wore a tie, they closed early, and we of course changed everything immediately, so like within 3 days everybody hated us. It kind of taught me a good lesson to just make sure I have a good relationship with all the people in the stores, because that made it work for me, and that was a good deal. And Victor was one of the people they sent up from, where's Victor at? From South Florida, so that was a good experience, and he actually became my wife, but he was over, I remember a Saturday night, we're watching a boxing match, and we probably had about 900 beers between us. And if you know Victor, he's very animated, so this boxing match is going along, and my wife's sleeping, and he is just going nuts, and our apartment was about 20% the size of this room, and he is yelling at the top of his lungs and screaming and going nuts, and I'm like, dude, you don't know what's going to happen if you don't chill out. And he was like, ah! And it just got louder and louder, and soon enough I heard that door open, and I was like hiding and cringing, and she let him have it, and I was used to me running into those experiences, but man, he got it good. So that was really cool, and she loves him to this day. She always asks about him.
He was planning on sleeping on the couch that night.
Yeah, he ended
that was reserved for Kevin for bringing you over.
So, I had a few opportunities to move. Went to Minnesota as a general manager, which was cool, and I think it was the year 2000, we all went to Chicago, and I met David Garland, and I got in a hotel room, and you talk about snoring, Scott. If you think I got issues, this dude here has got serious snoring issues. So that was...
He's dealing with it right now.
Yeah, that was craziness.
Unbelievable, David. I can't believe you do that.
So...
It's rated by a world class.
Yeah, so that was interesting, and I ended up getting back to the Delaware Valley region as a regional manager in 2002, and that was really exciting, and it was a challenging market that not a lot of people like to work in, but I really liked the area and all that. And then something happened, but later I ended up moving to the Midwest, and I got a call from the newer CEO. One thing I left out was interesting. When I went back to Philadelphia, my wife was still in Minnesota. I'm in Philadelphia, and we had a conference call that Phil was no longer with the company, and we have an interim company, and that's kind of weird to call my wife in Minnesota and say, hey, yeah, this is what's going on. So that was crazy. But so anyway, when I moved to the Midwest, our CEO, Barry, asked me to move out there, and I said, man, that's weird. Why would you? I've moved 3 times already, and you never, it's always Louis Rashani that calls me for these moves. What's going on? I'll talk to you about that when you get to Dallas. And then, so we had a dinner, and Louis was leaving, and then the next morning, we all meet Dan in the office, and that was pretty exciting, and I was glad because Chicago was part of my area, and that was like a disaster for us by 5 years in, and I got to take Dan to the stores there, and I was thinking, man, I'm glad I don't have to take credit for any of this mess, because it was a disaster. But that was a great time together, and been a great experience for me. And I had my own, on around the time the transaction closed with Mattress Firm. It was interesting, is my 16th anniversary with the Giant was a couple days ahead of time. What I thought was really kind is that Sam Wood sent me a congratulations